As you guys are all aware, Steve Bannon was charged with contempt of Congress and then has been sentenced to 4 months in prison for that. Well, now he's doing what we all expected him to do. Before he has to go to prison while the appeals process is going on, he is running around and talking about how big of a victim he is. And so the funny thing is, contempt of Congress is actually a pretty simple law to understand, and he violated it in just the clearest way possible. Hey, you need to come and testify under oath. No. Cool, that's not something you could do. Plus, he could have just gone and pled the fifth. He wasn't required to give up any, just go, plead the fifth, boom, you're good to go. But instead, he chose prison, pretty much. You know that's what's going to happen whenever you break a law that's that clear. But here's him going on Tucker Carlson explaining why this is all horrible.
It's not free right now. You see this in whether it's the FBI rolling up individuals praying in front of abortion centers or designating parents, going to parents' rights at school board meetings for parents' rights as domestic terrorists. The Justice Department is completely and totally out of control, and the FBI is out of control. That's why I'm a big believer in defund the FBI. Use the appropriations process to defund both these apparatuses until they come to the table and we start cleaning up the rat's nest. I think the only way you're going to do it is you got to start at the top. We got to impeach Wray and we got to impeach Merrick Garland after full investigations. I think Merrick Garland can be impeached on the southern border. I think he can impeach by what he's trying to do.
Okay, so impeach them all. They've all wronged Steve Bannon and thus deserve to be impeached.
Indeed.
Remove them. Well, it's funny because Jake Tapper of CNN brought Bannon's lawyer onto his show, and the back and forth was hilarious, and it gets to the lawyer saying the reason why Steve Bannon didn't go to testify in front of the January 6th Select Committee is because he's Steve Bannon. That's why. Good one.
You advised Bannon not to testify in court. Why not?
Well, if he couldn't tell the story of what happened, then I didn't think there was any point in having him testify. People may or may not have noticed it. I actually declined to participate in the trial in terms of examining witnesses and making argument because I had a bit of a disagreement over strategy and whether it was appropriate, and I didn't want to legitimize that process. Once the judge made a ruling that all of the defenses in the case would be barred, I didn't want to legitimize the process by going through the motions and making it sort of good enough by asking questions and so on, so that anyone reviewing would say, well, you got a fair trial for that reason. Couldn't get a fair trial in this case, not because of anything bad that the judge did. He gave his reasoned rulings, and he's a very thoughtful and careful judge. But because I think overall those rulings were unfair, I think the jury deserved to hear all of the facts of the case and then make a decision one way or the other.
So this is about his contempt of Congress charge because the committee investigating January 6th wanted him to come and testify. And I think there are a lot of us who wonder, why didn't he just go before the committee and do what so many other potentially prosecutable suspects in this investigation have done? General Flynn, Roger Stone, Eastman, et cetera, and just assert the Fifth Amendment for any answers that might incriminate him. I don't understand why he didn't just do that.
Because he's Steve Bannon. He doesn't like the optic of taking the Fifth Amendment. I have said before that I tend to think I would...
he doesn't like the optic of taking the Fifth Amendment. Very strange. So instead, he likes the optics of him going to prison? That's bizarre. But that, to me, is a beautiful example of the people who are making the claims about this all being unfair are explaining so clearly why it's perfectly fair. They asked you to come testify. You said no. They said, you really need to come. You said no. So then you got charged with contempt of Congress. And then you said, I'm not going to even really fully participate with the court process. So then you got sentenced to 4 months. And your answer of why you did all that is because he's Steve Bannon. He doesn't like the optics of it. Cool. So everything that happened that's holding him accountable now for that is totally fine. It's just... But there are still people walking around believing this is a huge injustice and Steve Bannon is just yet another person being politically persecuted by the Biden regime, which is so strange and so unfortunate. But that is the country we live in.